Hi, this is Rob Polenick of C3 Method. Today's workout was arms. It was a quick day, but a really good one. I started with cable bicep curls, specifically aiming to target the upper outer portion of my bicep. I want there to be a good separation between my shoulder and bicep. In order to do that, when I'm grabbing the handle, instead of having my hand perfectly flat, I'm actually going to turn it a little bit. So I'm actually leading the curl with my thumb towards myself. So rather than leading with a flat palm, I was actually leading with the thumb towards me. And you can see that I'm using my fingers to kind of feel that upper portion of the bicep. And I'm letting my upper arm bone kind of raise as I'm curling. So as I'm extending, I'm letting the weight kind of pull my arm down. And then as I was curling up, I was leading with my thumb and lifting the elbow a little bit. And that helps really get that connection in the upper outer portion of the bicep. Now, I know that in this motion, the way I'm doing it, it doesn't maximally load the stretched position. I'm actually trying to just do basically the top half, maybe the top 3/4, and that's going to pump the bicep up. And then when I moved to my free weight movement, which was my second exercise, I did dumbbell curls. Now that the muscle's pumped, that dumbbell is going to really be pulling on that muscle, and it helps to make the free weight movement more effective for muscle damage. You don't even need as much weight, so you can actually back off on a little bit of the weight, and that saves some stress in the bicep tendon, and it also saves a little bit of having to rock your body or lose technique quality in order to just move the weight. So getting a really good pump in a shortened range of motion movement before your free weight movement, especially since that gets a really good stretch at the bottom, is a really good way to maximize the effectiveness of the free weight movement. And it would actually be arguably whatever the second bicep exercise would be better if the bicep is already pre-pumped. So really anything you would choose, especially considering, hopefully, that it does weight the full extension pretty well. So the cable curls, I just did sets of 20. I started with lightweight, which on our cable stacks is just 20 pounds. So I did 20 and 20, then I went to 30 pounds for 20 reps, 30 pounds for 20. I think I did 40 for 20, 40 for 20, then 50 for 20 on each arm. So I start light, get a really good pump going, very minimal rest in between the arms. Like between the 20 pounds and 30 pounds, there's really no rest. Between the 30 and 40, I might have just shaken them out a little bit. And then from there on, it was less than a minute rest between the sets. So the idea is to get a lot of work in very quick, get a good pump. Then on the dumbbell curls, I did a structure in which I did multiple reps on one side. So I did 10 on my right, 10 on my left, and then 5 on my right, 5 on my left. And then I did alternating for 10 reps total, which would be 5 on each side. I like doing the multiple reps because it keeps that constant tension. And I find that I can get a better pump and better damage out of lighter weights. But by starting with 10 on each side and then dropping to only 5, it's essentially like a drop set, but instead of dropping weight, you're dropping reps. And then switching to just alternating, again, it's a drop set in intensity and or continuous time under tension. So it's a cool way to keep the weight the same, but actually do a drop set in the intensity by dropping the continuous time under tension component. So for that, I did 3 max effort sets. So that was really good for the biceps. I then did some underhand grip tricep press downs. I really like underhand grip. I feel like it hits kind of the entirety of my tricep. You get the outer portion, the long head, and then the inner portion here really well. So I like a lot of underhand grip. The downside is you are limited in how much you can hold. So I like doing that for higher reps and getting a good pump. And then after a couple working sets of that, I decided to do overhand grip, which was much heavier. And I paired that with a variation of a bicep curl that is intended to target the brachioradialis, the muscle here that crosses over your elbow joint. So it adds a little bit of thickness to the outer portion of your bicep right underneath your t-shirt, and it helps to build this muscle as well. And then depending on how you hold the dumbbell, it can build this portion as well. So what I did with that is I decided to wrap my thumb, which does increase this portion. And I started with essentially like a 45-degree angle with my hands. And my hands were in the middle of the handle, meaning my forearm was very active. So I was doing curls with my hands at a 45-degree angle, pretty much straight out in front of me. And then as that would reach failure, I switched to a neutral grip and let my hand slide to the top of the handle. So the top weight plate was sitting flush with my hand. And then I continued for more reps in that position. And again, that's essentially a drop set in intensity because you're reducing the forearm fatigue, and you're really just kind of then isolating into adding the bicep itself with the brachioradialis. So you can essentially switch from using the assistance of your forearm muscle more so to switching back to the bicep. And it's just a weird variation. What I like about it is it just feels like it fills out around the elbow joint. So my previous bicep exercises were kind of for up here, so I wanted to finish with something that pulled more down in the bottom portion around the elbow. So that was the workout. It was really quick because I'm running short on time today, which is why I'm talking really fast. But it was a good workout. If you give it a try, I think you're going to enjoy it. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. And that's it. Thank you for watching.